Hello, my wise and not so wise friends. It's Jessica again. Wisdom from the not so wise. Very tired, but still inspired. So, I recognize that I've been posting a lot of more anxious and excited videos. I'm getting quite the adrenaline from sharing my story. I don't know why, but I've always kind of wanted to share my story in some way or another, and I feel like I can't focus too much on Tag a Cop. I'm gonna focus on Tag a Cop, but I think it's time to give you a little bit of a better introduction of me so you can understand where these stories are coming from. Because every single Tag a Cop story and adventure has a backstory. It has a backstory of trauma. It has a backstory of abuse. It has a backstory of confusion. It has a backstory of generational curses. It has a backstory of many things. And every single bit of, the trauma and the generational curses and the bad choices, lack of boundaries. The story is about a lack of boundaries. There was a lack of boundaries in my life, and um, a great big lack of guidance. And it's important. It's important that we recognize that, so that way we can learn to figure out where our boundaries are. There's a lot of adults out here, myself included, walking around without any boundaries, or like without proper boundary setting guidelines. So then people start crossing our boundaries, and we explode, or we blow up, or we react in some type of way, but we're not realizing that we didn't set boundaries in the first place. So each one of these fun Tag a Cop stories comes from a place that needs to be healed. And so that's what this journey is all about. It's about healing the inner child, you know. I've started these new practices lately where when I acknowledge that I acknowledge the generational curses that I would like to, that sun keeps following me. I acknowledge the generational curses that I would like to change as a parent. I recognize when I'm not so happy with myself. And so, in doing so, asking myself, okay, and acknowledging, okay, Jessica, this is not okay. We need to change that. I started asking myself, why are you reacting this way? And it took me back to different memories as a child. So I started kind of loving the child within me a little bit. I started nurturing that child and letting that child know, hey, that spilled tea is not so serious. We don't have to blow up. There ain't nobody here to get frustrated at you because you spilled the tea. There ain't no reason to be frustrated at Lucy because she spilled the tea. This is just one example, but it's a simple example, and we react harshly to little things sometimes because of our traumas, because of what we've been through growing up. And so, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am 37 years old. I've been to jail many, many times. I've been to prison twice. I served 6 months both times, and that was enough. We didn't need any more than that. And I'm a felon. Now, when I became a felon, being a felon was much harder than it is nowadays, right? It was much, much harder. You couldn't get a job at very many places. You could work in the factories, but only as a temp. They would never hire you on, but you could stay there as long as you want, making, $5 less an hour than everyone else because you're a felon, so we're not going to hire you. You don't deserve to make more money because we can't trust you to hire you, but we can trust you to work in our building. And I mean, hey, I guess it's valid. I don't know. But I ruined my life for a long time. No, we're not going to say I ruined my life because I'm doing pretty I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing really, really good for myself. And it feels good that I can say that, because very often I don't feel like I'm doing very good for myself. And I feel like I'm failing a lot. But the more and more I go back and look at my life, and I realize all the things that I've survived, all the things that, we go back and we look at our lives and we see all the things that we survive. And then next thing you know, I'm able to see my strength. I'm able to see my power. I'm able to see how I did survive. Glory be to God for all that strength. Because it wasn't me. I couldn't have done it alone. No, no. So, I made myself a felon. And that put a big halt on a lot of good things that I could have had in my life at a much earlier age. I turned 18 in prison, and then I got shipped off again on my 23rd birthday. Whew, man, I knew I didn't want to go back. Well, I had learned my lesson the first time, but I didn't realize I had learned my lesson until I was on my way back the second time. And during this time of getting sent to prison, my first time, I turned 18 in there, and I didn't stay in high school. I dropped out of high school, so I was no longer going to get my license at 16. And the plan was to get my license and go as far away as I can, make money places as I go, and just be gone. Figure it out from there was the plan. But, hey, we didn't get my license. So then I'm in prison, and I've been waiting to turn 18 to get my license. And I'm about to get out of prison, and I'm also about to turn 18, and I'm getting so excited because I get to get out and get my license and get the hell out of here. I get a letter in the mail in prison saying, your license have been revoked for DUI. Now, I ain't never been busted for a DUI. I was a passenger with 2 ounces of weed on my person. I was not caught driving with this weed, nor was I high. I didn't smoke weed at the time. I just sold it. So they charged me with a DUI. They revoked my license. Then whenever I got out, they said, oh yeah, you have a $9,000 fine, and you have to do 70 hours of DUI classes, and then you have to pay XYZ amount of money to get your license back. And that was it was so discouraging, because it's everybody does not come from a place of extreme support, or let me say, even if you have people that are willing to support you, they're not always available to support you. They're not always able to support you. They're not always able to drive you to work. They're not always able to get you to your appointments. And so it was very discouraging. I procrastinated so many years. But at 25, I got my license. I got my license back, and that was just a whole new sense of freedom. Man, I could drive legally. I had been driving for years, okay? I had been driving illegally for years. And for the first time ever, I could get pulled over without having to worry about getting my car towed or going to jail. And I mean, as long as I had insurance, my car's still been towed plenty of times, because times are rough. We can't always pay for insurance, but we still got to get to work to take care of our kids. And then we still got to get to court and pay that $500 fine when we couldn't afford the $350 insurance on a really crappy car, because I spent so much time of my life getting such a bad driving record. My driving record's probably about this thick. All them years driving without a license, all the speeding tickets that I get. I was a damn good driver before I had a license. They never got me for speeding or running lights or anything like that. They always got me because my registration was illegal, or didn't have a seatbelt on. Now my car is being towed and I'm going to jail. All you had to do was put your damn seatbelt on. That's all you had to do. But, hey, we didn't. We don't need a seatbelt. That's a stupid law. Well, it don't matter if the law is stupid or not. You're still going to pay. Well, we can afford to pay because you done got your license taken away. I feel like rehabilitation should come with grace, guidance, and help afterwards. You know, you don't just throw someone in prison and not give them what they need to grow and change, and, you know, just toss them back to the wolves in the wild while taking all of their possible ways of helping themselves away, or what felt like taking all the ways of helping myself away. I mean, it was definitely more challenging. So I couldn't, getting a job was hard then. You get tired of working in factories, breaking your back in a place that you're miserable to be in, while being told you're worth $5 less than everybody else because you're a felon, you know. It gets discouraging. So I've had a lot of hard times. I have work commitment issues. I'm not lazy by no means. I'm a good hard worker, and everywhere I work, they appreciate, you know, my efforts and my work. And I'm somebody that's very proud. I'm proud of my work, no matter how big or small it is. You have to be proud of your work, man. You have to be proud of what you do, no matter how big or small it is. And the thing is, what people consider small jobs, those are the jobs that keep people going. People don't realize that. We need to start appreciating that more. Well, I don't want to ramble too much. I just kind of wanted to share a little bit more with you guys, so that way you could have at least a basic understanding of where all these stories are coming from. They're coming from trauma. They're coming from experiences. No, we had good times, though. We had good times. Like, there was childhood trauma, but there was also great childhood memories as well, and we'll share those too. You know, we did not have a horrible life. We thought we did. And I mean, things were hard. Yeah, you know, there were things, but we had it good too. And, you know, sometimes it's hard for us to pay attention to the good and be grateful for those things. The more we pay attention to the good things, the more grateful we can be, and the bad things don't seem so bad anymore. So today, my challenge for you is to ask yourself, what do I have to be grateful for today? What has happened today? The smallest thing, the biggest thing, you found $1. You got your laundry done. Shit, did you have a cookout? Because good for you. Things are expensive. Life is busy. You know, what do you have to be grateful for today? Did you see someone special? Did you make someone smile? Did someone make you smile? Did you get the trash taken out? Thank you, Jesus. All right, guys. This is Jessica with Wisdom from the Not So Wise. Tired but still inspired. See you next time.